Good morning, Larry. Thank you for taking the time to join us this morning. My name is Jeannie Odell from the Canyon Lake Chamber of Commerce, and we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to meet with us today to answer a series of questions as to why you should be elected or re-elected to the Canyon Lake City Council. Casey Castillo has agreed to be our timekeeper, so we will have about 2 minutes for an introductory statement. We'll have about 2.5 minutes to answer each of our questions, leaving you about 3 minutes at the end of this for a concluding statement.
Okay.
So, since today is all about you, let's get started.
Okay.
So, please introduce yourself to us.
Okay, I am, of course, Larry Greene. I'm a current sitting council member. Had the opportunity to serve the city for 4 years, except for a little stint that I had to resign to take care of my wife until she had passed. And I was fortunate enough to be re-put back on council. A lot of questions of why do I want to be part of government. Government's been my life. I have a extensive background in the fire service, especially municipal government. My education is business. I've got extensive background in the master's in public administration. Been to most of the major fire schools. I'm a graduate of the Executive Fire College in Maryland. So I have a lot of experiences that I have brought back to our city. I was a consultant for 6 years. I have learned a tremendous amount since being on a city council about how interactions work. I've developed a real strong, keen awareness of what it takes to be a council member, I think, because probably one of our biggest jobs is not so much what we know, but it's how to develop relationships and cooperation. And that's not only within our community, our council, our neighboring partners, I call them as our cities, our county and the state agencies that we all have to interface and work with to procure grants, other things that are very necessary for city government. My goal for our community is a sense of pride, a sense that we come together as a city, as a community, and we work together to solve issues and problems, not only because of our property owners association, but because of the city. And I think that that sense of pride comes that ownership. I want to make our community as safe as possible. I'm very strong in public safety. I think that that's a major component of our budget. And so we're working very diligently to try to not only make our operation more efficient, more cost effective, but also not to decline our service levels. So that's kind of a little bit about me, and I've been in the community a long time, probably more than most. I built my house here in 1978.
Oh, wow.
So I've seen...
I was just born in 78.
Well,
so,
see,
you know.
I'm just a neophyte. But the community has obviously gone through changes, and I've been very fortunate to be part of a very positive council team member, and I think our team has made some very big strides this last few years on processes and different things that make us a better operation and a better city.
Okay. Well, let's get into a series of questions because you'll be able to expound upon some of the things that you just mentioned.
Okay.
So our first question is, what do you think the city's biggest accomplishment has been in the recent years?
Well, I would like to break it down into several categories instead of it just being one or two or three. I think that relationships, our city has worked very hard on interpersonal relationships with the POA, trying to work better together to solve community issues, whether it's inspections or things that we have commonly, water issues, lake issues, some things that we are all responsible for. Our lake is not a community issue. Our lake is a regional issue. Our pollution is not from our community, it's from upstream communities. So we have to look at it from that standpoint. I think another big accomplishment that we've made since I've been on council is we reopened the fire station. That may sound like a simple task, but it required a lot of different things that our community had to come together with. We had to rehab the fire station. We had to do a lot of things that had just been put in advance. So that's a major step since I've been on council. Another major thing we've moved forward in is our technology. We are currently working to modernize and digitalize our records, which is our history. And so we've done that. Our business licensing has been streamlined, and so our business licensing is a very key component of our city because it not only brings in revenue, but identifies who's in our community, what they're doing, and it also gives us a chance to monitor the different aspects of what we are currently doing. The other thing I think we made a big stride in is in our enforcement side. We have developed a home safety program for renters. We've developed a fire inspection program, which we haven't had any fire inspections in quite a while. So I think that those are things that we've worked on that I'm quite proud of. There are many others, but those come to the top.
Perfect, thank you. So what is your perspective on the city's stated goals, and what goals would you establish once elected?
We have, and I'm very proud of, I'll show you.
You can show the camera too, please.
For all those in the community, we do have a series of stated goals that are very defined and specific to timelines and process. And so one of the things when I got on council was to solidify goal setting, objectives, and how to task and how to report those out and how to let the community know. So I think our goals are well defined. We have accomplished several of our goals that we've set out last night at our council meeting. One of them is we've established an intern program, and we introduced our interns to the community last night. So
I think that is so exciting.
So with that, we've done a lot of strides in trying to modernize, and I'll say take our city from where we were and make it progressive. And so that the people that work on the outside of us, and whether it's business, whether it's municipality or whatever, are used to these systems. We are now implementing these systems, which will make our operations much more efficient, much more effective, much more user-friendly. And when you come to City Hall, hopefully you'll get the answer you're looking for.
Would you establish any other goals?
Well, one of my main objectives, obviously, is public safety. Because of my background, I'm very tuned to the issues that we have, costing that are actually are very sensitive to us now, because that is the bulk of our budget. And without us looking at ways of providing the same service and reducing those costs, we will not, it will be unsustainable in the years coming to be able to keep dealing with these ratcheting costs without any input. So we've developed and are researching ways to provide law enforcement, ways to provide fire service. Some of it's doing our own, some of it's looking at a regional approach, some of it's doing contracting. All of it's driven around service level. We don't want to change what we're doing. We want the safety of our community is paramount. Fire is the same. EMS is part of that component. We do not want to change those. We want to enhance those. So we are working very hard internally and with our regional partners to look at different options that we can currently do or we could implement in the future.
Fantastic. So these questions kind of all tie together. So once again, feel free to expound on any of them. So what is your perspective on the city's budget and the need to increase revenue to pay for the critical services? You kind of just talked about it. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add.
Well, revenue streams and revenue sources are our bloodline. Without those, we can't survive. We can't provide the services. We can't pay for public safety. So we have been very fortunate to hire, we've got a really good staff. We've got a really good city manager. We have a really good council. So we have started thinking out of the box. What are ways that we can look at the same situation, but also maybe generate some additional revenue, or maybe reduce that cost by doing it differently? Mm-hmm. Technology is a good example. Technology we may have a front-end cost, but in the long run, we save money because of record accounting, storage, the grading of records. So public safety is another one. Looking at how these budgets are continuing to grow. We have, because we are a contract, we have little to no voice, even through our Board of Supervisors, which we work very closely with. So we're looking at ways of more local control, better levels of service, reducing our cost, and yet trying to also be an effective regional partner. When I use that term, that is our cities of Marietta, Lake Elsinore, Paris, those cities that are around us that we interact with sometimes on a daily basis. So, but without additionally looking at our revenue streams and ways that we can streamline our costs, We have done some reductions. We have actually saved money in our last couple of budget years due to making some conscious decisions, council decision on staffing. We changed our staffing configuration in the fire department, not meaning that we took personnel away, but we took how the personnel are assigned, still with our EMS component, still with the fire component, and we were able to save a couple of $100,000. So we're looking at every aspect in ways that we can streamline our service, but yet cost savings, but yet also try to generate some additional revenue.
Okay, great. What would be your priority if you're reelected, and how would you implement that priority or your idea?
Stabilization of our emergency services.
Okay.
Meaning, when I say stabilization, it isn't that it's in chaos. It's not any of that at all. It's how we can figure out in 5 years from now where we're going to be and what it's going to cost us. And my goal would be to both not only work with fire but also police and explore every option that's out there to making sure that we are getting the most cost-effective service that we can with the service levels that we want for our community. So that's really putting a lot of work on us, meaning us and staff, to think of what's going on in other regions. And I'm not talking just in Riverside County, because we have a tendency to clone ourselves. We have a tendency to say, well, this is the only way it's done because it's always been done here. There are many different models and ways of service levels that still meet the same goals: safety and service. Safety of our community is paramount. That's my number one goal. The rest of this stuff needs to fall into place, but I am very pro public safety, and as you saw last night in our council meeting, our proclamation on 9/11 is very warm and dear to my heart. Not warm and dear, but very personal to me, just because of the time and the aspect that I had several of the people I know lost their lives there, doing the things that I did,
Right.
and without a second thought. And that's where I also look at what we want for our community. And so I have
That sense of community.
I
that
have
sense of-
and I have a sense of passion and commitment to that. So our current mix on our council has worked very cohesively to try to formulate different ideas and things. And I am a team member of that, and I'm very proud of that.
I'm going to take us off topic just a little bit. I think a lot of us are very excited to hear about the volunteer program that the city is putting together with Riverside County Sheriff Department.
Yes.
Am I correct in that?
That is correct. We are in the beginning phases of implementing that program, which is kind of like a senior volunteer, or anybody that wants to volunteer that wants to do community patrol or may want to do records. They can do record keeping for the sheriff. He mentioned last night several different things that those people can do. There are other communities adjacent to us that are currently using that program. I'm very familiar with that program, and it has a lot of merit. It puts a lot more eyes on the street for things that are currently happening in our community. Even though we have a safe community, we also have to have a community that is aware of things that are going on. We had an auto theft yesterday right here close to us. Last night we had a hit and run that went right through the parking lot. So we're safe, but we want to make sure that we are as safe as we possibly can be. And we are encouraging our community that may have an interest in that to apply. There's probably some training requirements, and we will have more of that coming forth in the next few weeks.
Great. So the next couple of weeks we'll get a little bit more of an update
Sure.
about what's going on,
Sure
how we
they'll-
can sign up for it.
And it probably will mirror or model very similar program that we had many years past. We had a program like that, and it kind of faded, as well as the Explorer program. It faded away because of budgeting and financial difficulties that we got, which we hope we're not to get into again if we're doing our due diligence and looking down the road at what's coming at us and being proactive instead of reactive. I think that our community is much better off. We rather have things on the front end of us and try to deal with them than trying to react to them 2 or 3 years later, which in some fact is what this council has had to work through. It was just circumstances that were out of control of our others that did the best they could, but we're we're very strong in our community, we're very active in our community, and we're very proud of our community.
Well, I'm just speaking as a member of the community. I think this volunteer program is such a step in the right direction, so I'm very excited about it. So to get us back on our questions, because I do tend to take us off topic a little bit, what are your thoughts on future development within Canyon Lake?
Well, Canyon Lake is pretty much built out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we do have some opportunities in the looking at the BLM land adjacent to the BLM. We also, a lot of people don't understand, there is a thing called sphere of influence, and that's what a city is looked at, not only with the geographical boundaries that are identified on a map, but a sphere of influence is how far that sphere goes out. So we've researched how far Canyon Lake's sphere would go beyond the city of Canyon Lake, and we have found that we have a significant area that we could influence, meaning that we could annex it or it could be annexed by somebody else. So we're trying to look at all options to meet requirements that are put upon us. We have a state housing requirement on affordable housing, RENA numbers they're called, and we do not have the space or the ability right now to comply with it. Although we have rewritten our housing element, with that we got SB2 funds, which allow us to, which was a grant, and by the Housing Community Development Agency, about $160,000 are coming to us. They'll come in phases for us to develop plans on growth. One of them is, the first one out of the chute will be looking at the community or the town center on what could be done to modernize it. If you look at other communities in Orange County as an example, I'm very familiar with the city of Fullerton because that's where I used to work. The revitalization in downtown work was very similar to our town center. So they've done a mixed use occupancy, businesses, residential, in a mix that is friendly to the community, friendly to the businesses, also attractive to the community and attractive to businesses and attractive to other people coming into our community. We are not an island within ourselves. We take a lot of tax dollars and spend in both cities on both sides of us. So we need to capture some of those, and what do we need to do is we need to look at what makes Canyon Lake unique, not only our community and things that we all like the lake and the activities and all the other amenities that make us Canyon Lake, but we also need to look at how we can bring other dollars into us. And so we're very in tune to what it takes to do that, and to look at other models that are out there, and to look at other areas that have had success and failure. Mm-hmm. So there's always a check and a balance.
Right.
And so we're aware of different things. It's just how to implement them, and you can't go at it all at once. We have to go at it stepwise. So that's kind of where we are.
Okay. I being obviously the president of the Chamber of Commerce, we're very interested in what we can do to help our businesses as well. So some of the things that you've just mentioned I think are very exciting too. Looking at multi-use. I've been a fan of multi-use for many, many years. So it's nice that we're looking at that for our city as well.
Sure.
Other people might not agree, but that's what I think. This is kind of a redundant question, but what interactions with the city government have you personally had? I know you're involved in some of the city committees. If you just kind of want to tell us a little bit about your experience with that. Since
I've been on, well, before I was on city council, I was part of the emergency preparedness. Okay. And so because that was part of my background, was emergency preparedness as well as other things. But when I'm working, I wasn't really able to be committed to other things. But since I've been on council, I'm on the executive board of the Regional Conservation Authority, which is a big thing because we have to save the habitat of Riverside, and so I'm on that. Been on the finance. I've been on many of the ad hoc committees, the cannabis committee, the fire department research committee, the public safety committee. So many of the internal committees as well as external committees. I'm also on the RCA's general board meeting.
What's RCA?
It's the Regional Conservation Authority.
Gotcha.
Okay, and it has the task of saving the habitat of Riverside instead of it being totally enveloped with
So like the wildlife corridors? and stuff like
wildlife
that?
corridors, regional parks, regional green zones, regional aquatic basins, which we have in our, doesn't sound quite right, but in many parts we have pools, vernal pools that have frogs, fish, and everything else, and they could be easily bulldozed in and turned into residents or into businesses. And so our goal is to save that for the future and also yet be a reasonable partner to development.
So of all the committees that you're on and all the where you represent the city, what is your favorite?
RCA.
Or is it, okay.
Yeah.
I think that's admirable.
Yeah.
I know that there's a wildlife corridor that kind of goes behind
Yes.
Canyon Lake on the north side of us.
There sure is, and it ties in all the way to the north and throughout our county. On the west side, there's corridors that run all the way into San Diego County, and they're identified, they're not all purchased yet. So that's part of RCA, purchasing the land so it
To
will
protect it.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
I know the coyotes like the one on the north side. they even venture close to my house sometimes.
Well, we got more than coyotes.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. But those are the ones I think we see the most.
Yes.
So, okay. So why should you be elected? What strengths, or re-elected, I should say, what strengths can you bring to the council? And conversely, what do you think your weakness would be?
Well, frankly, on my weakness side, I really don't think I have one other than maybe I like to work too much,
Yeah.
But
That's funny. I always tell my son, turn your weakness into a strength.
so it is, I don't see something on that side, probably there is, but I just think that because of my experience in government and solving problems and issues, and also I was a consultant for 6 years, I've been able to carry that forth to the city and have a positive interaction with our city team. When I say our city team, that is our current setting council, as well as our staff. I've had the opportunity to be involved in the code changes and bringing a fire prevention program in and other things that I feel that make us more progressive, that better serves our community. And so my goal is not only one, to serve again, but to better serve the community in the capacity that I'm at. So looking at ways that we can do cost savings, looking at ways that we're more efficient, looking at ways being more progressive. I do believe our little city of Canyon Lake is a gem. We have a tremendous group of residents. We have a really a positive structure in place that we are working very diligently to keep and foster. So with that, I would like your vote to be able to continue that, continue to be a positive role model, also be a positive team member, and instead of finding problems, identifying solutions. So that's where I'm at. I'm resolution driven, and it's easy for us to always point fingers. I'd rather look at point fingers at me and say, well, how can we fix it? What can we do to make it a better place?
Well, I would like to point out one of your strengths that I don't think you've touched on yet, and that is your ability to mentor and coach. I'm not sure if you remember, but when I was running for the POA board, you stopped and you talked to me and you said, Jeannie, you need to have goals, you need to have priorities, and you need to figure out a way that you're going to get it. So I will never forget that. So I do believe that's one of the strengths that you have as well.
Thank you.
So this brings us into our conclusion. What would you like to say that you haven't already said? Give us a little bit more information about Mr. Larry Greene.
Well, I think I pretty much said it.
Okay.
I'm honored to have served. I would be really honored to serve another 4 years on the council. I think we have developed some very positive momentum with our city, things that we're involved with or things that we're working on or things that we're exploring. We are not waiting for things to happen. We are being what I'll call proactive. Our team has really pushed, as small as we are, as the staff levels that we have really pushed our staff to perform at the top. And we have recognized that. And that's part of our goal, to recognize good work, to recognize the positives of what we do. our strengths are not in ourselves. Our strength is in our group, in our community. And so I want to foster that same mindset. So that's it. That's all. That's Larry Greene. I mean, I'm very humble. I've been very fortunate in my life. I've had some great opportunities. I've had a good education. I don't take anything for granted. And I think it's very important, though, whomever our community votes for, vote, please vote. Voting is our number one way to say, if you don't like something, then vote to change it. Don't wait because you think your vote doesn't count. Your vote counts. Every ballot issue that's on this ballot has some importance to somebody and someone. Please read them. Please vote. Please take the time to vote. This is a crazy year. COVID-19 has changed the way we live, the way we work, the way we do things, but it doesn't change the way we should vote. And vote your conscience, and if you vote for me, thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. We appreciate the time that you've taken today, and is there any questions that I can answer for you?
Thank you for the opportunity to do this interview.
We are live streaming on the Canyon Lake Chamber's Facebook page.
Hi, guys.
Tyler and I are going to be working out how we're going to get a link to, for example, if you wish to post on your page, etc.
Okay.
So.
And one more time before you guys go, those who have an interest in our goals and objectives, these are printed. We have them at City Hall. It really shows the progress and the things we're working on and the things we talk about at council. For those that don't get to do the live streaming or see it, we do make hard copies. So please, if you have the interest, you want to see what we're doing, you want to see how we interface with the POA, other groups in our region, this is a good way. So thank you.
Thank you very much.